Chief Minister Conrad Sangma today stated that there is no point in going back or revisiting the MoU signed with the Assam government to settle the boundary dispute, as it will make all efforts put in by both governments go to waste. He added that there was no manipulation of data and figures by the government, and the exact estimate of areas which the state will get can only be confirmed once the survey is done by the Survey of India in a later period.
Have had consultations with almost all traditional heads, and we have had discussion even with the district councils. When this entire meeting and discussions were held at the regional committee levels, members of district councils were present. Even the traditional heads were present. So at every step along the way, they have been part of the discussions. Now, concerning the stand that they take, I have nothing to say in the stand that they have, because everybody has a right to take the stand. But we have tried to figure out a solution here, which we strongly felt cannot be done if we were to stick to the original process of going with only the documentation and historical facts and different maps that were there. I'm not saying they're not important. They are very important, because that's what history is, and that's what our forefathers have given us. So it is important. It's not that it's not important. But what we are trying to do here is trying to find a solution to a problem. And a complicated issue like this cannot be solved by us putting documents on the table or them putting documents on the table. We have been mentioning from day one that this is not a division between countries. This is simply a boundary or administrative control within a country of India. Therefore, yes, as a government and as an individual, we would want that the entire map that we submitted should come to us. But we need to realize that, practically speaking, that will not be possible, because Assam will have more documents and maps than we do, because initially Meghalaya was drawn out of Assam. So my point here being is that everybody and the HIMAs and other organizations, they have a right to take their stand. If they wish to go to the judiciary, that is what the judiciary is for. But we are very clear that we have done what we had to do, keeping in mind the interests of the people and ensuring that the best solution could be reached. And we felt, after all the exercise we did, that we needed to look at the will of the people in that area. And based on the will of the people, we had to move forward and find a solution. So the principles were slightly, expanded. And once the principles were expanded and broadened, certain other principles came in, and that's when we took this decision. So therefore, if we were to stick to the original maps and documentation, I think we would never be able to resolve the problem, and we would still be having meetings and coming out with the conclusion of maintaining status quo. But that is not a solution. So therefore, we had to take a stand, we took a stand, and we went ahead, keeping in mind the larger interest and keeping in mind that at some point in time, we need to find a solution to this very, very vexed issue, which was causing a lot of inconvenience to the people, especially living in the border area. See, number one, when we signed the MoU, two of the ministers from the UDP and one of the ministers from the PDF and one of the ministers from the HSPDP were present when we signed the MoU. They have all been part of the regional committee. So therefore, and obviously they have been discussing this with their party level. From what I understand, the party leadership in the regional committees, in the regional parties, have not expressed any such opposition to the MoU that has been signed. Party leaders within their party, some individuals have raised concerns, and they have the right to do it. And I'm sure that we will explain things to them, and once they hear the process which we followed and moved forward, I'm hopeful that they will be convinced. But as I said, that I always respect dissent or any kind of concerns, and it is my duty and the duty of the government to clarify those concerns that are there, and I'm happy to do so. The crux of the matter that time, when the discussions were taking place, was that the map of the administration that was based on the reorganization and the district administration, that map and the traditional maps of the traditional heads, those concerns were there. Of course, as I said, it's a long history. I'm sorry, I will not be able to do justice by simply making this statement. But my point is that there were multiple documentations, multiple organizations. The traditional heads had a different map. The administration had a different map. The Chandrachud committee has gone into those aspects, and as you know, they had gone ahead and said that the administrative will be based on the administration of the districts that are there. So all these factors is precisely the reason why we felt that if we were to go into the same debate again, we will not get anywhere. Because we have got 1 map, 2 maps, 3 maps, Assam has got 10, 15, 20 maps. So we were not able to, they will show something, we will show something. They'll go into a legal battle which will be unending. So that's the reason why, though the documents and everything was with us, and though we brought this to the notice and we did discuss those aspects, we then felt that we need to broaden the entire discussion. So to answer your question short, is that number one, we do have all the maps and documents. I don't think I'll be able to share all of that. I don't have that with me right now. But more importantly, as I said, there were multiple documentations and maps and orders. And Meghalaya was using certain documents which favored our argument. Some was using documents which favored their argument. And therefore, it led to a stalemate. And that's the reason why we had to find a new approach. So I really don't want to get into the documentation part, because it's again getting back into the old status quo meetings that we used to have, because that meeting can go on with large presentations of maps being given by both sides.